Okay, suppose you have 3x squared minus 11x plus 10. Let me show you how to factor this using the x chart. This method is called the AC method because I'm thinking of this 3 as A, negative 11 as B, and 10 as C. And you're multiplying A times C. That's why it's called AC method. You multiply 3 times 10, what's that? 30. And what you're going to do is you're going to put an X and put the 30 here. And then down here, you're going to put the middle number, which is negative 11. Once you have figured out what numbers to put there, the next action is to find two numbers that would multiply to the top number and add to the bottom number. What are those two numbers?
Negative 5, negative 6.
Negative 5, negative 6. Good. So you can have negative 5 and negative 6, or you can also say negative 6 and negative 5. Okay? It doesn't matter which order you choose. The solution looks a bit different if you change the order, but at the end of the day, you will get the same answer. Okay, so that's step one. Once you figure out the two numbers, the next step is to break up the middle number. So this middle number, negative b, negative 11, the middle number b, which is negative 11, we're going to rewrite this as 3x squared minus 5x minus 6x plus 10. Okay, that's step two. What is negative 5 plus negative 6? It's negative 11. That's how we chose the number. So, of course, if you simplify this, you can simplify back here. So, what you should do is, whenever you do this step, you should always check whether what you wrote down is equal to what you began. Because sometimes you may make a mistake, and these two things might not. Once you do that, step 3 would be factor by grouping. So this step would be factor by grouping. And because of that, this same method is called by many names. Some teachers call this the AC method. Some teachers call this factor by grouping. Some teachers call this the X chart. Okay, now let me explain this last step. What is factor by grouping? Well, you look at the common factor between 3 and negative 5. There isn't any, right? What do you write?
Wouldn't it make more sense to switch the 5 and the 6 just to make it easier?
It's similar. I'll show you the other one as well. Okay. So 3 and 5 doesn't have any common factor. However, I see that x is in both terms, so you can factor an x out. So you factor an x out from the first one. And how about 6 and 10? What's the common factor? 2. Now, whenever you have a minus in front of x, you should always factor out the minus as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to put a negative 2 with something. Now let's see how what should go in here and there. X times what gives you 3x squared? 3x. X times what gives you negative 5x? Negative 5. Negative 2 times what gives you negative 6x? 3x. Negative 2 times what gives you positive 10? Negative 5. You have to multiply negative times negative to get you the positive. Now, if you did everything correctly, after factor by grouping, you're going to notice that the factor by grouping reveals a factor that's common to both of the terms. I see that 3x minus 5 is here. It's also here. So they're common, which means you can factor the 3x minus 5 out. Okay? So here, factoring out means it's like you're yanking away this guy, 3x minus 5. So you take that out, it becomes a single 3x minus 5. And now what are the lonely people left here? X is left from the first group, and 2 is left from the second group, right? That's the final answer. Now, somebody asked me what happens if you switch these two around, so let me show you that as well. If you put 3x squared minus 6x minus 5x plus 10, if you switched negative 6 and negative 5, then this time 3 and 6 will have a common factor of 3. So you can factor a 3x out times something. And here 5 is a common factor, so you can factor a negative 5. Again, minus is here, so you have to factor the minus out as well. And then 3x times x gives you 3x squared. 3x times negative 2 gives you negative 6x. Negative 5 times x gives you negative 5x. Negative 5 times negative 2 gives you positive 10. And now you can factor the x minus 2 out, which will leave you with what? 3x is left. When this is gone, negative 5 is left. And compare the two answers. They're exactly the same because multiplication is commutative, right? Whether you multiply 3x minus 5 by x minus 2 or x minus 2 by 3x minus 5, they're exactly the same thing. So you get the same exact